help them. The madness of opening to another dimension. Look, we don't have much time. We let it through. The evil, the protective stabilizer on the portal just failed after Betruger took the device. It was an artifact we had found in the ruins. He took it into the portal, and hell followed him out. You have to help me first. I'm going to try to get the teleporter systems running again. The areas are destroyed around us, so it's the only way through this part of the complex. You need to find me a working plasma inducer. It's all I need to get the teleporter working. You can look for it in operations. I have a security clearance. I'll unlock some doors for you.
Warning. Halon systems active. Access denied.
Medical Report 16-8, dated November 2nd, 2145. Patient 04, Pilot Steve Jensen of the UAC Darklight Armor Corps Division is Private Jensen was suffering from paranoid delusions and full-blown dementia. Treatment was unsuccessful. Initial psychiatric symptoms suggested only mild psychosis with speech, motor activity and thought processing within normal range. Paranoia being the only psychiatric element directly. Reference interview G8. Private Steve Jensen, October 18, 2145.
UAC psychologist Dr. Hooper, Steve Jensen, male, age 26. Steve, can you talk to me about the last few weeks, please?
I don't want to talk.
Well, I'm here to help you, Steve.
I've tried talking. They think I'm crazy. You think I'm crazy.
They, your colleagues, aren't doctors. Let me help you.
Help! Nothing can help us.
Prior sessions over a period of 72 hours revealed rapid deterioration of both physical and mental capacity, with behavior inconsistent with any known patterns. The patient was responsive for brief periods and had to be restrained during interviews. Reference Interview H-3-2, Private Steve Jensen, October 21st, 2145.
Tell me what you see, Steve.
I don't want to see it anymore. I don't want to feel it. They'll be here soon, and then you'll see it.
Can you talk about what you see? Steve? Patient unresponsive. Terminating interview.
We have exhausted all known forms of drug treatment in hopes of finding a way to abate this strange outbreak of dementia, and I have yet to receive any additional data from the psychiatrists back on Earth. Options are quickly dwindling. Medical Report 16-8, dated November 2nd, 2145. Patient 0432, a Private Steve Jensen of the UAC. This is the audio log of Medical Supervisor Peter Rowley, dated October 29th, 2145. We have exhausted all known forms of drug treatment in hopes of finding a way to abate this strange outbreak of dementia, and I have yet to receive any additional data from the psychiatrists back on Earth. Options are quickly dwindling. Approximately 80% of all extraplanar participants exhibit signs of
Halon systems deactivated.
Medical Report 16-8, dated November 2nd, 2145. Only mild psychosis with speech.
Audio log for Phil Wilson, medical technician, Delta Labs. October 20th, 2145. Today I witnessed the third test of the teleporter in the 3 weeks that I've been here. Volunteers are becoming harder and harder to come by. It's difficult to see why. They all come back screaming like loons about demons, pools of blood. Real fire and brimstone stuff. At first I wasn't paying much attention, just doing my job, but the last was Robert Clayton. Now, I met him my first day here. This guy chews up rocks and spits out gravel. He's tough as they come. Having to sedate him and drag his drooling body to the isolation room, it's really freaked me out. I'm gonna put in for a transfer as soon as I'm able.
Excellent. That will get the teleporter working again. Now you don't have much time. You're going to need to teleport across the containment chamber. It's the only way through this part of the complex. Head into the chamber and initiate the sequence on the machine. I'll take care of the rest. I'm not going with you. Good luck. But before you go, I want you to take something. It's a journal I made about the experiments. Those things. It's all there. It'll explain everything. Give it to someone so this never happens again. My name is Ian McCormick. I'm a research specialist stationed on Mars, working for the UAC. My primary job is, or rather was, to assist Dr. Malcolm Betruger in a variety of experiments, though for the past year we've been focusing almost exclusively on teleportation. I don't know if I'll make it out of here alive, so I'm recording this video log to let someone know what happened, and with that knowledge, prevent it from happening again. Initially, the teleportation experiments were amazing. We were creating a new science. The prospects of it changing our way of life were, well, they were outstanding. I was proud to be associated with such an amazing project and someone as talented as Dr.
Decontamination process
We noticed
started.
early on, probably before we completed maybe a dozen successful
Decontamination
tests.
complete.
There was a
Have a
variable
nice
delay
day.
during the teleportation. The objects are broken down at the quantum level, transported, and then reassembled. Each stage of the process should have been instantaneous, but it wasn't. And we didn't know why. We sent a video drone through and were shocked at the images it sent back. Just a few frames of video right before the drone came back through showed what appeared to be several sets of eyes looking directly at the probe. We had just found a living, breathing creature that was not human. Betruger immediately sent out a request for volunteers. He specifically wanted UAC security force members because he wanted to capture one of these creatures. I've made a lot of mistakes, but I am most ashamed of my involvement during the next phase. To get medical clearance to send human subjects through the device, I doctored up several of our reports to indicate that we had performed living tissue experiments. I did not regret it at the time. A few days later, when our third test subject came back, he was chewing off his own fingers. It seemed he was clinically insane. We started sending teams in about once every 2 days.
Systems activated. Teleportation will commence in T-minus 3, 2, 1.
Ah, you surprised me. I'm glad to see you. I would have hoped they would have sent more than just one guy, though. I've been studying one of the specimens we brought back to see if there's something physiological that would be a weakness, a way to stop them. I found nothing so far. Haven't had enough time. I'm gonna stay here and keep looking. It's the only thing I can do. There are combat supplies in the storage cabinet in the next room. The code is 624. I hope you can use it.
Welcome to the Delta Complex Stasis Chamber. This facility was constructed to house and study the extra-dimensional beings, which were recovered during some of the first teleporter tests originating from Delta Level 3. While little is known about their native environment, the specimens appear to be carbon-based lifeforms with extremely high heat tolerances. The epidermal tissue is extremely resilient to abrasion or incision, which has complicated internal studies. Observational studies have shown incredible strength and agility, as well as the ability for some specimens to manifest and control cohesive plasma masses. The method by which these plasma masses are created is yet unknown. It is believed that the specimens possess a rudimentary intelligence and social structure, as was demonstrated during the first tragic expeditions through the portal. While the cost in human life has been great in acquiring these specimens, we hope to one day complete genomic mapping and begin to answer the many questions we have about these entities. Welcome to the Delta Complex Stasis Chambers. This facility was constructed to house and study the extra-dimensional beings, which were recovered during some of the first teleporter tests originating from Delta Level 3. While little is known about their native environment, the specimens appear to be carbon-based lifeforms with extremely high heat tolerances. The epidermal tissue is extremely resilient to abrasion or incision, which has complicated internal studies. Observational studies have shown incredible strength and agility, as well as the ability for some specimens to manifest cohesive plasma masses. The method by which these plasma masses are created is yet unknown. It is believed that the specimens possess elementary intelligence and social structure, as was demonstrated during the first tragic expeditions through the portal. But the cost in human life has been great in acquiring these specimens. We hope to one day complete genomic mapping and begin to answer the many questions we have about these animals.
Hello? Anyone there? Hello? Someone up there? Please unlock the service hatch. No! Oh God, no! Oh God! Ah! Ah!